In the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, a city steeped in both progress and history, lived a young, ambitious lawyer named Maya Cole. Maya had earned her law degree from Howard University, graduating at the top of her class. She had dedicated her life to fighting for justice, particularly for the underserved communities of color in her city. Her fiery passion for equality was matched only by her calm, commanding presence in the courtroom. One hot July afternoon, Maya sat in her modest office, sipping iced tea as she reviewed her latest case. It wasn't just another case for her, it was personal. Her client, Mrs. Harriet Jones, was a 72-year-old black woman who had lived in the same small apartment for 30 years. Mrs. Jones had raised her children there, cared for her late husband there, and built a life within those walls. But now she was being evicted. The eviction notice hadn't come because Mrs. Jones had stopped paying her rent she always paid on time. It hadn't come because she caused trouble. She was a quiet, kind soul who spent her days gardening in the small communal courtyard. No, it had come because the new landlord, a man named Victor Crane, wanted to revitalize the building. Crane, a wealthy real estate developer, had made it his mission to clear out long-term tenants, particularly the Black and Latino residents, to make way for high-paying renters in his newly gentrified complex. When Mrs. Jones tearfully explained her situation to Maya, the lawyer's blood boiled. Victor Crane had a reputation in the local community for being a bully, using his money and power to push people out of their homes. But this time, he had picked the wrong target. The fight begins. Maya filed a lawsuit against Crane, citing racial discrimination and unlawful eviction practices. She began digging into his past, uncovering a pattern of similar behavior. She found former tenants, all people of color, who had been intimidated by Crane and forced to leave their homes. She unearthed emails where Crane had referred to his tenants as undesirables and spoken openly about his plans to clean up the building. As the case gained traction, local media picked up the story. Maya became a symbol of resistance, a voice for those who had none. But the pressure was immense. Crane had a team of high-powered lawyers, and he wasn't afraid to use underhanded tactics to discredit her and intimidate her client one evening. Maya returned to her office to find the windows smashed and a threatening note scrawled on her desk: "Drop the case, or else." Instead of scaring her off, it only fueled her determination. The day in court, the courtroom was packed on the day of the trial. People from all over the city had come to support Mrs. Jones and Maya. Community leaders, activists, and everyday citizens filled the benches, their presence a silent but powerful statement against injustice. Crane's lawyers argued that the eviction was purely a business decision, claiming that Mrs. Jones's apartment needed extensive repairs and that her lease had expired. But Maya was ready. She presented evidence of Crane's discriminatory practices, including testimony from former tenants and the damning emails she had uncovered. She spoke with a quiet, searing intensity, her words cutting through the courtroom like a blade. "This isn't just about one woman being forced out of her home," she said, pacing in front of the jury. "This is about a man who believes he can prey on the vulnerable, who thinks he's above the law because of the color of his skin and the weight of his wallet. But today, we're here to tell him that justice isn't for sale." When Mrs. Jones took the stand, she shared her story with grace and dignity, her voice trembling but strong. "This isn't just an apartment to me," she said, wiping away tears. "It's my home. It's where I've lived my life, where my memories are. I just want to live in peace." The verdict, after hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their decision. They found Victor Crane guilty of racial discrimination and unlawful eviction. The judge ordered him to pay a hefty fine, reinstate Mrs. Jones's lease, and cover her legal fees. As the verdict was read, the courtroom erupted into cheers. Maya turned to Mrs. Jones. who was sobbing quietly, and wrapped her in a warm embrace. Even Victor Crane, in a rare moment of humanity, seemed to feel the weight of his actions. His eyes glistened with tears as he glanced at the elderly woman he had tried to uproot. Outside the courthouse, Maya faced a sea of reporters and supporters. She spoke briefly, her voice steady but emotional. This victory isn't just for Mrs. Jones. It's for everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. For every community that's been pushed aside in the name of profit. Today, we proved that justice can prevail, no matter how powerful the opposition. The aftermath, the case became a landmark victory, inspiring similar lawsuits across the country. Maya continued her work, taking on even bigger cases and becoming a national figure in the fight for housing justice. Mrs. Jones returned to her apartment, where her neighbors welcomed her back with open arms. Years later, Maya would look back on that case as the moment she truly realized the power of the law, not just to punish wrongdoing, but to restore dignity and hope. And in that small apartment in Atlanta, Mrs. Jones lived out her days in peace. Her home, a testament to the strength of a community that refused to be silenced.